Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to the channel. BABYMONSTER just did it again. According to YG Entertainment, BABYMONSTER's official YouTube channel crossed 12 million subscribers this past Sunday, and the label confirmed it themselves, calling it the fastest any K-pop girl group has ever reached that number, counting from their debut date. The timeline on this is 2 years and 2 months since their official debut on April 1st, 2024. That number by itself might not sound shocking in an industry full of massive fandoms, but the pace behind it is what makes this genuinely historic, especially considering this is the second time in 6 months BABYMONSTER has broken this exact same kind of record. Rewind to January 3rd, 2026. At around 7:30 in the morning Korean time, BABYMONSTER crossed 11 million subscribers, and at that point they had already become the fastest K-pop girl group in history to hit that mark, just 1 year and 9 months after debut. Not the fastest fifth-generation girl group. Not the fastest YG girl group. The fastest girl group, period, across every generation that has ever existed in this industry. Most groups would take that milestone and coast on it for a while. BABYMONSTER added another full million subscribers in roughly 5 months and broke their own record on the way there. To understand why that matters, you have to look at who they left behind to get there. This wasn't BABYMONSTER quietly climbing the charts while nobody paid attention. This was them racing past label mates, rivals, and groups from every major agency in Korea, all of whom had their own aggressive social media strategies and their own passionate fan bases pushing them forward. And BABYMONSTER still got their first twice. Let's talk about the competition for a second, because context is everything here. Fifth-generation K-pop is loaded with strong contenders. ILLIT debuted through HYB with a huge marketing push behind them. Hearts 2 Hearts came out of SM Entertainment carrying decades of that company's global fanbase infrastructure. Cordis, Kiki, TWS, Rise, they all launched with massive resources and instant international attention. These aren't underdog groups scraping for visibility. These are some of the best-funded, most strategically positioned rookie acts the industry has produced in years. And yet, when you line up the subscriber numbers, BABYMONSTER isn't just ahead of every single one of them. They're not even close. Fan-tracked comparisons circulating online recently put BABYMONSTER at over 12 million subscribers, while the next closest fifth-gen groups, Cordis and ILLIT, sit somewhere in the 5 to 6 million range. Hearts 2 Hearts trails behind that around 3 million. That's not a narrow lead. That's more than double the second-place group. There's a bigger picture worth sitting with, too. YG Entertainment hadn't debuted a new girl group since Blackpink back in 2016. That's nearly 8 years of expectations stacked on top of BABYMONSTER before they even released a single note of music. Every trainee evaluation clip, every teaser, every pre-debut rumor came loaded with the weight of, is this the group that follows Blackpink? That kind of pressure has crushed rookie groups before. Expectations that high usually mean disappointment is baked in from the start, because nothing can really live up to comparisons with one of the biggest girl groups on the planet. Instead, BABYMONSTER didn't just survive that pressure, they turned it into fuel. 2 record-breaking subscriber milestones in the same year is a statistic that stands completely on its own, independent of any Blackpink comparison. It's theirs alone. So, what actually fueled this? A lot of it traces back to the momentum BABYMONSTER built through the back half of last year, and carried straight into this one. Their second mini-album, We Go Up, dropped in October, and it did not just perform well, it accelerated everything. The title track We Go Up, paired with a B-side Psycho and Supa Dupa Love, gave the channel a steady stream of music videos and performance clips that kept international audiences clicking week after week. That momentum never really slowed down heading into the new year, which is exactly how a group goes from 11 million to 12 million in a matter of months instead of years. This is the part casual observers miss. Subscriber growth on YouTube almost never comes from one viral moment. It comes from consistency, from giving people a reason to hit subscribe instead of just watching a video and moving on. BABYMONSTER's YG-produced content pipeline, from official music videos to in-house performance videos to behind-the-scenes footage, gave fans constant reasons to stay engaged, and that consistency is exactly what turned casual viewers into subscribers, twice over. The numbers around their content output back this up in a way that's hard to argue with. Around the time of the 11 million milestone, BABYMONSTER already had 15 separate videos that had crossed 10 million views each, with their channel's total cumulative views surpassing 7 billion. 7 billion views is not a number you get from a lucky viral clip. That's the kind of number you only reach when an entire catalog is consistently pulling in audiences, video after video, era after era. And that was all happening while BABYMONSTER was simultaneously wrapping up their Love Monsters Asia fan concert, a 6-city, 12-show tour that closed out in Taipei right around the same time the first subscriber milestone hit. So while they were literally on stage in front of fans across Asia, their YouTube numbers were quietly making history back home, and they kept making it. It's also worth remembering how BABYMONSTER got to this point in the first place, because their subscriber trajectory has basically been one record after another since the moment they launched. Before hitting 11 million, they had already become the third most subscribed K-pop girl group on YouTube after crossing the 10 million mark. Before that, their pre-debut single Batter Up made them the fastest ever K-pop girl group to hit 10 million Spotify streams in just 10 days. Their debut-era single Sheesh outperformed BTS's own debut single No More Dream on the Spotify global chart. Their album Drip became a rookie girl group entry on the Billboard main chart, which is not something that happens casually. When you stack all of that up, the 12 million subscriber milestone isn't really an isolated event. It's the latest checkpoint in a pattern that's been building since literally their first pre-debut release, and it's a pattern that keeps repeating itself faster each time. What makes this feel different from typical K-pop hype cycles is how measurable it all is. A lot of biggest and best claims in this industry are subjective, built on chart positions that get contested or streaming numbers that get disputed between fandoms. But a subscriber count tied to an exact date, verified through YG Entertainment's own official statement, cross-referenced against every other 5th-gen girl group's public numbers, that's about as hard a data point as this industry produces. And on that specific metric, BABYMONSTER isn't just ahead. They're ahead by a wide enough margin, and they got there fast enough, twice in 1 year, that no other 5th-gen girl group has come close to matching the pace. It's worth pointing out how much of this growth is tied to the group's individual members pulling in audiences on top of the group content itself. Fans don't just subscribe for the music videos, they subscribe because they're following 7 distinct personalities who each bring their own audience into the fold. Solo stage performances, like Chiquita's silhouette reveal for Worth It, or Ahyeon's performance of Problem, don't just live as isolated clips, they act as entry points. Someone discovers one member through a solo moment, gets pulled into the group's broader catalog, and ends up subscribing to keep up with everyone. That kind of layered content strategy, where individual member spotlights feed back into overall channel growth, is part of why the number climbed as fast as it did, both times. It's not just one type of video doing the heavy lifting. It's music videos, performance videos, solo showcases, and behind-the-scenes content all working together to convert casual viewers into long-term subscribers. The reaction once this second milestone became public was immediate. Fans in the comments started pointing out that this wasn't just a nice round number, it was proof that the group's international growth strategy was actually working the way YG had hoped it would, and that the jump from 11 to 12 million happened faster than almost anyone expected. Fans also started comparing the achievement to how long it took older, more established groups to hit similar numbers, and the gap was staggering enough that even people outside the BABYMONSTER fandom started paying attention. That kind of crossover conversation, where a milestone becomes interesting to people who aren't even invested in the group, is usually a sign that a story has moved beyond fandom bragging rights and into something the wider industry has to acknowledge. There's also something worth noting about what this means going forward. Records like this tend to create their own momentum. Once a group establishes itself as the fastest growing act in its generation, and then breaks that same record again a few months later, that status becomes part of the story that gets told in every article, every year-end recap, every best of 5th gen ranking that comes out from here forward. It sets a baseline expectation. Every comeback BABYMONSTER releases from this point on will get measured against the fact that they are, by the numbers, the group that grew faster than every other rookie girl group in K-pop history, not once but twice. That's a tough standard to hold up against, but based on what their catalog has already shown, from Batter Up to Sheesh to Drip to We Go Up, they've been clearing bar after bar without slowing down. It's also a reminder of just how quickly the landscape can shift in this industry. When BABYMONSTER debuted back in April 2024, they were the new group everyone was still sizing up, going up against groups that had already built their platforms and fan bases. 2 years later, they're the ones setting the pace that other rookie groups are being compared to, by a margin that's more than double the next closest competitor. That kind of shift doesn't happen by accident, and it definitely doesn't happen without an extremely online, extremely dedicated fanbase clicking subscribe and showing up for every single upload. Monsties have been driving this growth in real time, and the record now reflects it in black and white numbers that nobody can really argue with. So, where does BABYMONSTER go from here? If the pattern holds, the answer is probably just more of the same, another comeback, another spike, another million subscribers added before their competitors even catch up to where they are right now. Whether the next 5th-gen girl group to challenge this record even shows up in the next year or two is genuinely an open question, because right now, BABYMONSTER isn't just winning the race. They're setting a pace nobody else in their generation has been able to match, and they keep resetting the finish line before anyone else can catch up. Annyeong